This is Kim Meyer, host of Choose to Rise. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Madeline, host of Crowned and Dangerous here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you are done with this episode, I hope you'll come back to check out my show, Crowned and Dangerous, where Jessica and I talk about our time in the pageant world. A new show comes out bi-weekly on Thursdays. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Crowned and Dangerous. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Welcome to the C. Jane Sell podcast,
a relatable sales podcast for your weekly dose of sanity. I'm your host, Chelsea Dupre.
and I'm your host, Lee Nevis.
Welcome to C. Jane Sell, everybody.
Here we are.
Here we are, unapologetically us.
Absolutely.
So, you know what makes me happy?
What?
Weave. Fake eyelashes and spray tans.
I love that.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yes.
So today, if you can't tell, we're talking about things that make us feel good.
Completely. Oh my gosh. And sometimes, I feel like there's such a stigma of, anything that's super girly should be oh, you're, just getting extensions of weave. No, if it makes you feel good, then that's
Do
tight.
it.
Do it. Do that thing.
Yeah.
I don't care how, negatively it's been, talked
Things
about.
are changing.
If you think someone's going to call you basic or, whatever, who cares?
Basic feels good.
Basic does feel good sometimes.
Yeah, no.
So,
I want to tell you, people, it is not the worst decision to splurge on yourself.
mm-hmm.
Maybe not all the time because then you go bankrupt and
Right, for sure.
We don't splurge.
Responsibly splurge.
yeah,
Yeah.
responsibly save up for something.
Yes.
But
Ugh.
you gotta feel good about yourself because when you feel good, you do good, and when you do good,
You are good.
you are good, and when you are good, can you go up from there?
Probably not.
And if you have dang good weave, girl,
you can take over the world.
you really can.
I love it.
Really can.
Yeah. So, today, we are talking to Diana, who is with an awesome, awesome place in New Albany called
It's
Main.
hers.
It's hers.
Yeah.
She owns it.
She started this.
It is in New Albany,
Indiana.
called Main Alley, like Main, M-A-N-E, which I love the play on words, and it's in an alley, which is even more cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it is it's right across from Quills in downtown.
And it shares the same building or whatever with her soon-to-be husband's shop called Him. It's a gentleman's boutique.
Yeah.
They have
Which is really popular. I feel like
Bomb
everyone talks
clothes.
about that.
Yeah,
Everyone
I bought
talks about
Adam a
him.
hoodie from there, and it is his favorite hoodie.
Yeah.
Was it expensive? Yes. Was it worth it? Yes. Because
Yeah.
I am... Here's a fun fact about Chelsea. So we're going to go down memory lane.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Okay, so, this takes back to Christmas when Adam and I were real fresh.
Okay.
So, I didn't know what to get him, and he's like, I want a pickup. I want a Ford F-150. I was like, you're cute, but I'm in college, and I eat ramen noodles, and you had to pay for my gas last week to come and hang out with you. So, not getting you a Ford F-150.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool. And, so I got him a couple shirts and, I got him a toy truck that was a Ford F-150 because I'm sassy. And then I got him, a Blu-ray DVD player. Such a weird array of gifts that I got on a Black Friday. And then I got him also, I found this really cool hoodie that actually is really similar to the one that I got him at Main Alley, but I found it on eBay, and it came from China, and it was very affordable. So I bought all of those things, and I shipped them out to Louisville with my in-laws so they could wrap them, and he'd have something to open from me for Christmas. Well, so he opens his gifts, he gets a toy truck, a couple shirts, a Blu-ray player, and a really great sweater that looked nothing like the picture, was an extra small in child's clothes. So, Merry Christmas. I love you. And so he comes out to Utah, and he is like, here's your present. I'm like, oh, thanks. And so I open it, and it's the Blu-ray player that I got him. He's like, crazy enough, I got you the same thing because I knew you didn't have one. And I was like, I don't have one because I don't watch TV. But thanks, let's go do something. He's like, no, let's open it up and I'll set it up for you. I'm like, I don't have any movies, A, and B, I'm kind of pissed that this is what you got me for Christmas.
Thank you.
So, pretty sure this is a re-gift, but we don't have to talk about it. He's like, no, let's set it up and we can watch a movie. It's cold outside, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, got it. Open it up. Freaking iPad. He got me an iPad. He got me an iPad. Aww. And I got him a crappy Asian little kid sweater, 3 t-shirts, a toy truck he gave to his nephew.
Oh my gosh.
And a Blu-ray player. So, long story short, I've had to make up for that.
Right. I was like, where are we going with this? But now I get it. So you went and bought him a nice outfit at Him Boutique.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Wrapping it all
Full
up.
circle. I was like, what are we talking about?
Like, okay.
No, I took that journey and we got to the destination.
There.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, Him Boutique is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Main Alley is just like the cutest. Like their logo's adorable. Like everything.
She calls her
it.
girls the Mavins, the Main Alley Mavins.
Oh, I love this.
And it's so great. They are like, you would think they're best friends, and we'll hear more about that. But she builds such like a great camaraderie, and her work is amazing. And all of her girls, all of her stylists, they are amazing. One of them does mine. Her name is Allie. You should follow her because she's legit.
Legit
AF. And they do NBR extensions, which is natural beaded rose, and it's just a different method of extensions. I'm obsessed with them. Like I said, I love weave because I have thin hair. I have lots of hair, but it's very fine. And it breaks off at a certain point, and it just is, I hate it.
Yeah.
And so I've done a lot of tape-ins, and I can't wear my hair up, and I feel stupid and dumb, and then it's like, I should post the picture my friend Rachel sent me of my weave, like my tape-ins showing in the back. It is so embarrassing. Maybe that's the picture we'll put for this episode. I don't know. But, yeah, so you don't have that with these.
Yeah, and I feel like I've seen you with the men, right? Have I seen? Yeah, and like literally her hair, like I forget that she has short hair. Like it looks so natural and so good and just like beautiful and full and gorgeous.
Amazing.
So little plug for her, but obviously you will hear more from Diana in this episode.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll get to the interview.
Yeah, and just make sure that you guys take care of yourselves. Do something a little nice.
Yeah. Do something nice.
You know, if you're having a bad day today or a good day, doesn't matter. Pick something that makes you happy and go and do it. Get a pedicure.
Yeah.
And ask for an extra long foot rub.
Ugh. Do it. From a local business, preferably.
Yep.
Okay.
Amen.
My small plug. Okay. Now for the interview.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening in again and welcome back to See Jane Sell. We are here with Diana, the owner of Main Alley.
Yes, hello.
So you have a salon that you started all on your own. It's for NBR extensions. So can you tell the listeners what NBR extensions are?
Sure. So I started Main Alley because I'd been doing hair for quite some time. And I had gotten into the education of natural beaded rose extensions, which is what NBR stands for. Doing this training, it kind of was really enlightening for me because any other training I'd ever been to, no one ever talks business. No one ever teaches an actual business model or sales, marketing, anything, especially in the hair industry. So going into this training really, really changed the way that I thought about my business. So my business started to focus more on extensions, and I no longer offered haircutting services of any kind or whatnot. So it's really focused on creating a niche. So as I grew in the extension business or side of things, I decided it was time to create a space that kind of was set up and geared towards the extensions. And with that being said, it's just extensions are more expensive, so something that was an elevated experience for clients, somewhere where they could come and feel a little bit more private. We don't have a lot of windows, and something that women who might be a little insecure about their hair, they can feel really safe in the space. So just kind of creating an atmosphere that is all about creating confidence in women and catering to this kind of luxury side of hair services. So that's where Main Alley kind of the thought came from. And then the actual business itself, my fiance has a men's store called Him Gentleman's Boutique. It's in downtown New Albany, obviously, because that's where my salon is. We're attached. So as we were discussing the dream of opening a salon, I kept looking for a space in downtown New Albany because I love the vibe, and I just couldn't find a space that was right for me. We really wanted to have a space where the salon would be on the main floor, we would live above it, and then he would have his store in downtown as well. But everything that we looked at, it was either too much money, or it was way too huge, or it just didn't quite fit our needs. So he decided, actually with one of my clients, who's a really good friend, had the thought, well, why can't she use some of your space? He had it over 1,000 square feet for storage and office, and thought, well, what if I used about 400 to 500 square feet of that to create a salon, and we would have an alley entrance, which is where the name Main Alley came from. Ross actually came up with the name.
That's cute.
And it worked out perfect because now there's the coffee shop right across from us in the alley, and the alley's kind of an experience in New Albany.
It's
so
pretty cute.
It is.
It really is.
We're really excited to be a part of it. So having that there just kind of worked perfect. And then we get to work literally one door away from each other. So that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's so cute. Like, I actually saw it the other day because I was at Quills, and I was literally sitting outside. I was like, oh, snap. I was like, we're interviewing her on the podcast. I was like, there it is. And it's so cute. Like, the logo looks so adorable. The like, font, like, everything is just, like, it's so clean and, like, so, like, nice looking. It doesn't look like corny. Like, it's just like clean.
Thank you.
And, like, beautiful.
That means a lot because I really wanted to go for that. I actually hired out Gretchen. Her name's Gretchen Bertram now, but Gretchen Fangman was her maiden name, and that's when I met her. She did my logo and my font, and she did like my color palette because I wanted to make sure that we had something to refer back to. I'm a really eclectic person, and I feel like my style can be a little far-reached for some people, so having something to, reel me in, where I could still have that eclectic, kind of look, but have something to tie it all together.
Right.
So I started with that logo, and I just want it to be clean. I want it to look modern, to kind of set the tone for whenever you walk inside. That's, what you want to experience, but also major comfort level. We want everyone to feel super comfortable, and we have a great time, and we laugh a lot, and we have fun, and it's not just about being, luxury and snobby. Like, that's not at all our vibe.
Yeah.
But
no,
just
it is not at all.
No.
Yeah.
We want it to be like luxury but super laid back.
Totally. I love that.
Thanks.
So, explain the difference for people who don't know. Like, I guess, like, sell us on NBR extensions as opposed to just like a normal
Sure.
You know how you sell it? You have your friend Amanda Graves who has NBR, and then it's like your tapes are showing. You need to fix that.
Yeah.
So I've done hair for 14 years, going on 15 years that I've been licensed, and I am the perfect candidate for hair extensions. I have very thin, very fine hair. My hair rivals that of a 3 or 4 year old. So I'm the perfect candidate for extensions, yet I have never worn extensions until I found Natural Beaded Rose. I've seen tape-ins, I've seen the bonds, I've seen every method that was out there at the time that I knew of, and I did not want to put any of that on my head. So I just wore short hair. I had several clients ask me if I was going to do extensions. They really wanted me to, and I was not interested in it because when it comes to tapes, personally, the idea of having that big sticky piece of tape at the top and the removal doesn't sound very, pleasant, and they aren't easily hidden. I had several clients who would wear them but come to me for color, and I would try to color around the extensions, and I could never get that blonde all the way up to the root to darken because that tape's in the way. So you have this big blonde chunk at the top, and it doesn't grow from your head that way. And then other, the bondeds with the high heat just made me nervous with how fine my hair is. So not that any other method is bad, it just wasn't for me and it didn't appeal to me.
For sure.
But as I had my clients asking for extensions, I had to do some research. I reached out to a former stylist that I used to work with, and she does gorgeous work. She's an incredible artist. And I said, okay, I know you've done extensions for a while. What brand do you like? Because it's the only way I'd ever known to think about extensions is by a brand.
Yeah.
And she sent me this incredible return message that was super long and informative, pros and cons of everything she's used. And she said at the end, but lately I've been doing this method called Natural Beaded Rose. It was the first time I ever thought about extensions as a method and not a brand. So she told me about it. She said, look, the education is expensive. The hair is expensive. Everything is expensive. Everything is a lot. But it just looks so natural. I can't believe it. So I go on Danielle White's page, who is the creator of the extensions. She's amazing. So I got on and was blown away because I've never seen extensions actually look like real hair and not look extension-y.
You mean
right?
like this?
Yeah. Right, like that.
Oh,
I'll post
we're
it.
going to post this so you all know the reference photo we're talking about.
So it's the thing to me that made it so different was the fact that everything that was put into the installation was custom colored. So you colored the client's hair, you colored the extension hair, then you put it all together. So that was the first thing that drew me to Natural Beaded Rose, was that it's completely custom colored for that person. It's not going to be banana yellow blonde. It's not going to be something that that doesn't match your hair, because everything's colored at the same time. So it matches perfect and seamless.
That's amazing.
So that was the first thing. Second thing is there's no glue, there's no heat, there's no tape. So when you put these in, there are these tiny little beads. Everything's put in on a row. So it's all attached to itself in 1, 2, 3 rows. And with that being said, when you have the individual strand by strands, you have people who they lose a piece or two here and there, so they have to keep a little baggie in their purse to keep their extensions when they fall out.
Oh, can I share a story?
Yes, please do.
Absolutely.
I had a meeting, and we were sitting there talking, and I felt something on my hand, and I'm like, what the frick is that? I look down, my weave had fallen out
Yes.
in the middle of my meeting. I cannot make this up. And so I'm
with
sitting
a client?
there. Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, just
You're
trying
totally
to,
didn't happen.
I'm like, you don't see this? It's fine. I'm just
Right.
totally tucking it under, and before I know it, I've got my coat wrapped up. I'm like, he didn't see it. Please tell me.
I don't have fake hair in my hands, but I do. That's
Yeah.
music.
Yep.
There you go.
There, and it's funny, there's a client of mine who used to wear every other method of extension out there, and then she switched to NBR, and she had told me about how her son was so embarrassed because he was going into school and he didn't know that her tape-in was stuck on the bottom of his shoe. So he got into school and he had his mom, a piece of a tape-in extension, stuck on the bottom of his shoe. So he's, walking into school with, that.
Oh, no.
So,
Oh, my gosh.
as we digressed a little bit, yes,
Yeah.
these things
Yeah.
truly happen with wearing extensions. But with NBR, if a bead were to slip, it would just stay right there because it's all attached into the row. So that right there was incredible to me. You don't have to worry about literally losing your hair and having to hide it or not, the embarrassment of that. So there's another reason why I loved Natural Beaded Rose and the idea of it. The removal process takes 5 minutes, 10 if I'm talking a lot. So if
Holy
you can
crap.
imagine,
That's crazy.
there is a client of mine had come in. She was wearing keratin bonds. The removal process took us 3 hours.
Oh my god.
Because I had asked her what brand she wore. Her stylist said, oh, any keratin remover will work. And so we got a keratin remover. It did not work. And I should have known from the beginning when I started to put it on her hair. She said, oh, wow, that smells really nice. The stuff she normally uses to get these out smells like kerosene. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I would never want that on my hair.
Oh my gosh.
So anyhow,
For the love.
it took us longer to remove her extensions than it did to custom color her hair, the extension hair, and put in natural beaded rose. And she had driven in from Illinois, so there was no option to be like, okay, all we had time today was to take out your extensions. You're gonna have to come back.
Right,
so she had come in and traveled. So we did everything in that day. And so when she came back for her first adjustment, the fact that we could remove her extensions in 5 minutes blew her mind. So
That's nuts.
there's another reason.
Oh my gosh.
So no heat, no glue, no tape, nothing like that to try to make a mess of removal. And then the fact that with other extension methods, especially the individual strand by strands, to get just to paint a picture of my personal hair right now, it is 24-inch hair. It touches my hips, and I have a lot of hair, and it's really, really thick because I like to push the boundaries, and however much I say you shouldn't put more than this on a client, on myself, I'm like, put 2 more pieces in, it's fine. So I wear a lot of hair. And to get this much length and fullness with strand by strands, I would probably have to have 250 pieces of hair put in. So 250 attachment points to my head. So when we talk about attachment points to the head, that's where you're going to run a risk of damage. We always run a risk of damage no matter what we do to our hair. Blow dry, curling iron, ponytails, everything that brushing your hair too hard, everything runs a risk of damage. So when we talk about extensions, where you run that risk is where it's attached to the hair. So if you're looking at 250 attachment points versus with this, I have 30 attachment points. So your risk is significantly lower. So again, that's another thing that drew me to natural beaded rose. So everything that I was looking at checked all the boxes for me, which is why I never wanted extensions. They looked fake. You know, now we can color blend them, we can color match them, and now they look perfect. You know, the attachment points being fewer, less damage when you have a tiny bit of hair. You want to preserve all that tiny little bit of hair. So that's it. So for me, it's not that any other extensions are bad or wrong. It just never appealed to me. I was never attracted enough to say, okay, I'm going to get this. I wasn't sold on it. But the first night I look at Natural Beaded Rose, I email Danielle and I'm like, I need into a class. I see that they're all sold out, but I also see you do shadowing. Can I please come in and shadow?
Yeah.
Which she had already booked all that up as well, and I just got fortunate enough that she decided to open one more class before the end of the year, and I was able to get into that.
That's awesome.
And then I never looked back.
And you went to your class with Ashley Cullen, right?
Yeah.
So Ashley Cullen, for those who are listening, she's from my tiny town in Mountain View, Wyoming.
Yes.
And I reached out to her. She was posting on things. She's like, you've got to talk to Diana. She's in New Albany. That's close to you. I looked it up. And I was like, oh, wild. Here we are.
Yep.
What a small world.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really crazy.
That was my very first class. Since then, I've been to probably, 6 or 7 more times out to California to train with them. And they offered a mastermind, and I did that. I opted out of it at the beginning of this year. Not because it wasn't great, but because I think I'd learned everything I needed to learn, and now it was time for me to move on to more of a leadership position in the salon. So that's where my focus is on my training this year, is more in the role of a leader.
So talk about that. Like, what makes you, like, what is going to make you a leader versus what you are now? Like, what is your, because we're talking to women who are starting businesses who are, they want to be leaders, obviously, too. They're going to have a team. And
Sure.
I want to talk about your team dynamic because you guys are so, like, in tune and on point, and you guys are, look like and seem like and act like all best friends.
Oh, it's great.
So
it's a family.
You're doing something right.
Thank you. It's a family, and I feel like the shift really started for me when I brought on my very first assistant, which is Autumn. And she's been with me for over 2 years, and I cannot believe it. She's super young. She's 20 years old. She came to me when she was still in high school.
Oh, my God. Wow.
She did the Prosser program through cosmetology, so you get your cosmetology license before you graduate high school.
For her.
And
That's
so it was incredible for me to see this artist come to me who was really unsure about herself, because in cosmetology school you learn how to pass state boards. You don't really get to learn how to do great hair. Certain schools will have great instructors. I'm not trying to take away from any schools, but really the main focus of cosmetology school is, okay, we're going to get you to pass state boards, and we're going to teach you just enough to get by. And especially, I think, through like the high school program. Not that I know much about it, but I'm grateful for it because Autumn is a rock star. So she came to me super nervous about hair, uncomfortable with hair color, and all she wanted to do was makeup. Because I think it was one of those things, it's safe. You can, whatever, you know, you can wash it off if you don't like it.
Yeah.
But to see her transform from this, you know, young girl to this incredible woman throughout her 2 years with me who is crushing it behind the chair. She does 85% only extension clients. She only has a handful of color clients, and that's it. And for her to do this and to me, through that 2.5 years, started my transformation from, okay, I'm going to hire an assistant because I need help, because I need to grow my business, and it's for me, to, hang on a second, watching her grow is actually more fulfilling than watching myself grow and using her as help, right?
Yeah.
So watching this transformation in her was huge. And then, of course, it was time for her to fly. So then I'm like, okay, well, I need another assistant because now I'm used to working with an assistant. So what do I do? And so I put it out there that I want another assistant. And the most amazing thing happened, and that is Kayla Mansfield became my second assistant. Kayla was a hairstylist for 9 or 10 years at that time. And she wanted to step back to assist to work at Main Alley. And
Wow.
I
She's
thought
bomb at color.
she is incredible.
Yeah.
She is an incredible artist. Not only is she a wizard with color and blondes and like rooty, melty, beachy, lived-in looks.
good
She's
at
so great. Her styling is ridiculous.
Her braids
Great.
are
Oh
off
my
the
god.
hook.
It's insane.
Oh my god.
So for the fact that this established artist said, I really want to work with you and I want to work at your salon. I love what you're doing. I love your brand. And when I told her, so to be on a team, I'm only hiring assistants. And then after you kind of learn the way that we do things here and you learn the vibe and everything, then you can move into a stylist role. But I do offer, like, I sent my girls to training. That was an investment that I made in them because they've worked so hard, you know, to become incredible and to do these things that, as a thank you, is, well, I'm going to send you to training to learn natural beaded rose. I'm going to send you to California. You're going to get to learn this and be certified.
So you're saying investing in your people.
Investing in
pays
my
off.
people, absolutely. So definitely investing in my people is huge. But then seeing Kayla's business transform from doing what she knew as a stylist, which is all we ever knew out of school, to be able to come to the salon and implement the marketing tools and business procedures that we had set up just from what little bit I had learned. I guess I say little bit. I learned a ton in the extension training. But to set up all of this and then to see her grow was unbelievable. So my shift, like my perception shifted from, okay, success is how much am I doing behind the chair? What am I doing? How much money am I bringing in? What's my service revenue look like? Okay, this is my personal goal. It's now shifted to, okay, how are my people doing? What are their goals? What did they want to achieve behind the chair? What do they want to achieve in their lives? How can I help them? Because if they succeed, then I win every time. I win every single time. If they are winning, if they are hitting their goals, I win too. So I think that just in the last 2 months, I've really started to hone in on this. And so for me, just that leadership role is where I just see myself needing to be. I need to do one-on-ones. I need to make sure that we're having weekly check-ins, one-on-ones with everyone, even if it's 15 minutes. I just want to know, how are you feeling? You know, last week we talked about this. Where are you at on this? Okay, how can I help you? How can I support you? Because I don't want to grow just a salon. I mean, I look at it as a career for these women to make beautiful lives, and me being able to create a space for them to do that means more to me than me actually like doing more behind the chair and being busier and working 6 days and doing all this stuff, you know? So I don't know. That's my transition. So
yeah, now you got Miss Allie.
now I have Allie.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. So after Kayla, here comes Allie, and she came to me as well. Hey, I'd really like to work here. I love what you're doing. I know Kayla. And so Allie's been with me since January.
This girl is grinding too.
She's kicked in, but she's a
big
hustler.
Time. She's literally working 6
days.
Yeah, she does. She goes to her one salon, does salon work there all day, and then she works for you all day on these other days.
Her only day off is Sunday.
Yes.
She works Monday at her other salon taking her clients, and then she works with me Tuesday. She goes to her salon on Wednesday, and then she works with me Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm 4 days behind the chair, so she's with me 4 days. She takes clients 2 days at her other salon, which she is full-time at Main Alley starting August 1st. So we're very excited for her.
I'm excited for those bowls, because the bowls at her salon right now are whack. They give me a crick in my neck, and I'm like a diva. I'm like, oh my gosh.
You're like, can you give me a towel, please?
I'm like, make it 3. Oh, I'm excited for that.
Yes. So so now we have Allie, and watching Allie transform, she's a really quiet, sweet, soft-spoken young lady, and so getting to know her has been really wonderful. And I don't color the extension hair now for my clients. She does it all. So I just tell her, okay, this is the formula I want to use. Okay, this is what I want. Okay, go. And so we've learned this language to be able to know what we're doing. She just takes that extension once we remove it from the client's hair, and we're refreshing the color, because we do that every time. So she refreshes all the color of the extensions, and it's amazing to see her growth in that. And so that's been so wonderful. And then she started her training for Natural Beaded Rose in May, and it's in a 6-month pre-training. They keep adding longer and longer pre-trainings. Next year it's going to be 12 months of pre-training before you get to go. Probably. I don't know for sure, but it's just insane. So it's 6 months of pre-training before she actually goes to California. So she's been practicing for several months, and I signed a contract that I would not teach Natural Beaded Rose. So until they are enrolled in training and started their training, then I start to actually teach them. Yes, they get to see me in the salon, but I will not talk them through. I won't tell them what I'm doing until they are actually signed up and enrolled in training. So she started her training, and then she brings her mannequin to work, and we work on her beadwork and her stitching and all that stuff. And she's starting her case study program. So she's going to take 3 case studies. And what that means is I have to make sure that as she's doing the extensions, her beadwork looks great, her stitching looks great, her color work looks great on both, client and extension hair, and to make sure that she knows how to mix those formulas to match and put it together in the cut and styling and everything. Which styling she's the bomb at, because she always styles. We're like tag team styles, so she's on one side of the head and I'm on the other, so she's good with styling extensions. But actually doing the full service start to end on her own, we do case studies to make sure that she's got it before she starts taking full paying clients. Yeah. So case study program is starting soon. So we're so excited.
I filled out that application.
I know. I know. She's going to be a rock star, man. Her color work already is so good. The way she melts the extensions, they're just so seamless and beautiful, and she's just
crushes it. Awesome.
Oh my god, she's awesome. Yeah, so we're a little 4-pack.
Yeah.
Gosh. And it's I think we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. So what is your goal? So obviously everyone's in the business to make money. Mm-hmm. So what's your projections? Or you're like, my growth is I predict, or I need it to be 25, 50%, whatever. What are you predicting? How do you get there?
Last year, it was just myself behind the chair, and then Autumn started taking clients part-time at first, and then she started going full-time behind the chair. And so then this year, we've already surpassed what we did last year.
That's great.
So, but of course now we have Kayla's on board, and Autumn's full-time, and I'm full-time. Obviously of course I actually dropped today. Last year I was 5 days a week, and now I'm only 4.
That's great.
So I needed that to be able to do owner things, I had to buy a new faucet today because we've worn out our faucet in the back, our little kitchen faucet where we clean bowls and we wash hair. We've worn it out, so I had to go buy a new one. So fun owner things. Yeah. So I need a day for that, and payroll and all those fun things. But yeah, projection wise, honestly, I see us we're going to over double this year what we did last year. And then my goal for the next year is to double what we do this year.
So what do you think causes that to happen? Like, what makes you different? Because, I mean, there are so... And I'm not meaning this in any disrespectful way. There are so many salons, and you guys went as niche as you can freaking get. And it is not cheap. So to me, I'm like, that takes a lot of guts, A of all. And it wasn't out here. Like, you're the only one. And so people are like, you want me to say, what for what? You know, so...
It's scary. I feel like a lot of people think we're crazy to do what we do, and they don't understand it. I know that Ross has a lot of his regulars will come into the store, and we're attached, and so they knew when we did construction for my salon to come back there, and he was telling them, oh, she does extensions, and that's what she does, and because they're attached to a men's store, they're like, oh, does she do men's cuts? Can I get a haircut? And he's like, no, they only do extensions, whatever. Yeah. So they'll come in and they're like, how's she doing back there? And they kind of have this really, I don't know, nervous way to ask. Like, they're afraid to be like, oh, is she bombing, and he's like, dude, she's killing it. And I think the difference is, I think extensions, they've been around for a while, but they're just now really starting to be something that's not taboo to talk about.
I agree. Definitely. That's true.
I feel like they're almost a status symbol now versus something to be secret. And I don't say status, I feel like status symbol makes it sound really terrible, but in a way it's like, oh no, I wear extensions. Like, you're proud of it.
Yeah.
Because they're really,
oh my gosh, my extension, you're like, yeah, girls are.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever someone says, oh my God, I love your hair, I'm like, thanks, they're extensions every time. Yeah. Yes, of course I want people to know, because I want people to know that what is available to them and what's out there and what an option could be. But I just think that when you find your niche, a jack of all trades is a master at nothing. So if I'm doing every single service, how can I be really good at one?
You gotta stand out.
Yep.
So for me, I fell in love with the extensions because I knew what they did for my confidence, completely changed the way I felt about myself. I think that my boldest moves I've ever made in my life are because I felt so great about myself because of my hair. So to say that hair extensions changed my life, it might sound stupid, but the reality is I am a different human being when I wear my extensions. I feel empowered. Fabulous. I feel gorgeous.
Yeah.
And for me to say that's a really big deal, because I feel like I don't know why it's hard for women to be like, I feel beautiful. Right? That's hard. And to be able to do that every day, day in and day out, to have a woman come in, sit down, do her hair, and she's like, oh my God, I look beautiful. I feel beautiful. I feel like I can just take over the world, and to hear that every day is so fulfilling. But I think it just shows the fact that we're super passionate. I think we do really good work. You can't just niche down and be like, oh, I'm going to charge $1,500 and people are going to pay it. Yeah. Well, you better be really good at that. Yeah. You have to be the best. So we practice on our extensions. We make sure that our work is as best as it could be. Not only do we do extension training, but we also do different color training too, with artists that we love. We just did one with a girl on Instagram. Her name's Maine Ivy. So Allie and I went up to Indianapolis. She was touring, doing a color tour, and learned from her. So it's about staying on trend, to know what's popular and to know how to do it, not just winging it, and to be the best at your craft, and then just trust the process. I mean, that's what we did. I mean, we just did it.
When you took your dive, where you're like, oh my gosh, like, what was that when you first started?
When I had to...
You put some investment in. I mean, that takes some guts.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting your label and brand,
Yes.
It is not cheap, and you want to do it the right way.
Not
so,
cheap.
like, if you're mentoring, for example, Leah's starting a business, and we've talked about it. It's just a really amazing... she'll have to tell you more about it, but it's just a really amazing subscription for hair products.
Sure.
Wildly enough. And she just started. So she's dropped money. She's invested time. She's quit.
Sure.
She found her passion. So as if you're mentoring her,
Sure.
what would you say? Like, I've been there, I've done that. This is how I felt. This is what I did.
For me, I think it's finding. My first thing was I invested in myself in the education. So knowing that I needed help in business, this mastermind that I joined for the extension group, my biggest thing was, yes, for the extension training, absolutely, but it was a lot for the stuff I really needed help with. So knowing what I was weak on and learning how to become stronger. So doing that, it was marketing. It was just investing in that education in different business aspects, which that's where I still feel a little bit weak on, which is why I'm investing in another program. But not being afraid to invest in a mentor and invest in someone to help you. And it's expensive. I mean, you get what you pay for. So for me, I invested over $30,000 in my own education for the extensions and, their business side of stuff. And then when you go cheap, you're going to end up paying more for it in the end because you're going to have to redo it. So going ahead and having someone professionally do, the logo and my font and a color palette and having all that information for me was so much more worth it to do that. I've learned my lesson in the not going cheap in my floors of the salon. I went cheap in the floors. I got really nervous. I started living in scarcity. As I'm doing the build out, I'm watching my bank account dwindle, and I'm like terrified. And I'm like, okay, let's just, on the floors, is there anything that's like less, I mean, we're only talking 450 square feet here. So, I mean,
Right.
I must have been really living in some scarcity because I think about it now and I'm like, oh my God, no matter what you would have bought, it wouldn't have been that expensive. It's only 450 square feet. But I went with, it looks nice, but now I'm like, it just, I can see where the water's messed it up because it's not really made for water on the floor and all this stuff. So that's really big. And then when it comes to your people, investing in the right people, not just anyone. That is huge for me because in listening to them, I think that's been big for me, even though I didn't know what I was doing. I've been winging it, this whole time. I've learned things here and there, but having a bigger plan and actually knowing what you're doing is a lot more helpful because I feel like everything I learn and I actually am like, okay, now I know why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Is so much better instead of running in circles to move forward, like a little spiral. When you can just move straight, it takes a lot less energy. So I think that
I love that metaphor.
that's really helpful because, you're kind of just wasting time and energy and money and everything if you just don't have a plan. So I'm still working on it.
Yeah. So do you run all of your social media as well?
Yes.
Okay, so what's your strategy? You have a great social media.
Thank you.
It is beautiful.
Yeah,
and
Thank you.
all your girls, you call them the Mavens, right?
The Mavens.
Oh, that was embarrassing. They all have the same or similar vibe. Was that planned? Is that strategic? Is it just you guys are so on the same groove that it just happened?
I think that over time I've learned on my own page how to use a nice camera versus my cell phone, how to utilize the plain white walls in the salon or the alley or whatever when I take my after pictures. I feel like just making sure to have a really clean photograph, and if it's not a really clean photograph, then I'm just not going to post it. It's not worth it to me to share something that looks poor quality or not like it does in real life if I couldn't get my lighting situated. And I feel like my team kind of follows suit, and we talk about it in meetings, making sure that you're paying attention to the lighting or the background or whatever. And we feed off each other. Sometimes the girls will go out in the alley and they'll show me their pictures and I'm like, where did you take that? What's that background? And they'll, tell me where it was, and then I'll go take my pictures over there, So it's just communication with the team, and then we also collaborate with Amanda Graves, who was on the show, and she's an amazing photographer. She is a client, and we just got to talking, and she now does all of our professional photography. So we try to do shoots like every other month or so, or as often as we can. It's hard to get everyone together, but we try to do professional shoots, and I feel like each time we do one, that just gets stronger and stronger and better because we're starting to feel more comfortable in front of the camera, and we're starting to learn how to utilize our time a little bit better.
It kind of unifies you guys,
yeah,
too.
It really does.
It builds that, like, sense of family and camaraderie.
It does. It does that, and then it also gives us this pool of, over 100 images after each shoot to be able to pull from, so our feeds do look similar because we have the same sort of aesthetic with those professional photos that kind of tie everything together.
How much time do you spend on your social media?
Not enough. I mean, I try to do at least one post a day, and honestly, I need to be better about creating that content on my Wednesdays that I'm off. But when you have writer's block, it's so hard, but I just have to like deal with it. So I normally just like in the morning, once I get up and I get moving and I'm doing my thing and I feel a little inspiration, I'll kind of write something and post it. But strategy wise, there really isn't one. It's just kind of try to post every day and make sure that when I do post, it's not just like, blonde hair, don't care. What? Like that's so stupid. So like actually giving some sort of value. Like I try to think of, if it's a photo of a client, why does that client sit in my chair? What's their personal story? And then I kind of tie that into the actual caption on the post. So, have you struggled with hiding extensions when the wind blows? I just did that one the other day. If the wind blows, are you nervous that your bonds are showing or your tape is showing or whatever? Like, does that make you nervous? Well, guess what? Because of the custom colored route on the extension and because of all these things, you don't have to worry about it because even if the wind blows, no one's going to see that it's extensions. So just making sure that you're posting the problem, that there's a solution and here's the path to the solution, and if you need, if this sounds like you, click the link in my bio. So there's always like that call to action, and always making sure that when I post, it's always going to say, something about a pain point that someone might be having. Maybe it's that particular client in the photo, or it's something that a client said, and I can tie it together with why NBR can help, how it can help, look how beautiful this is, and click the link in my bio, and it takes you to an application. So we do an application process for people to come in to the salon. It just makes things a lot easier when we do a consultation, since we do those over the phone. So
Nice. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's amazing.
Well, we have asked you so many questions. So, is there anything that you would like to share from your heart that just speaks to you or to that new entrepreneur girl that's taken the world by storm, that you can just drop some golden nuggets?
Honestly, people are going to think you're crazy. I mean, even when, I told my family, like, I wanted to open a salon, it was, well, what's wrong with where you are now? Is there something wrong? And I'm like, no, I just see something bigger. And there will be people, even the closest people in your life, who are going to be scared for you. And it's not anything that's negative, or it's not like because they don't believe in you. It's because they themselves are too scared, that they would never do that. So making sure that you just listen to your heart and you listen to your soul. And if you just know you're on the right path, like, just keep going. But don't be so blind and don't be so full of yourself to think that you know everything and that you should always be able to shift and change whenever it's needed, because reality will smack you in the face, and maybe one idea wasn't quite right, but all you had to do was just a little shift and it's going to work for you. So never being so married to your dream that you just are totally blindsided to all things that could be changed, or that if someone gives you some sort of advice, like, don't ever be blind to that. But always be willing to learn from those who've done it first, or learn from those who inspire you, whether it's through books or podcasts or someone personally that being able to take little golden nuggets from everyone and just trying to push forward and never let your fear get through it. You know, scary stuff, like all the good stuff is just past the terrifying things. And I know there's like some quote that says that, but it's like, if you can just get through that fear, it's like so good.
Definitely.
So.
That's awesome.
I love that. Hey, well, thank you so much for
You're
coming on
welcome.
the pod today. This was a really good episode.
Yeah, thanks. I feel like I'm kind of a rambler, but hopefully
No,
I got some good stuff in.
No, definitely. Well, make sure to tune in next week. We have some more awesome guests coming. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, CJ and Cell Podcast. Make sure to join our Facebook group and like us on Facebook. Same thing, CJ and Cell Podcast. Like, rate, review, subscribe. Also, if you want to follow Diana on Instagram, her Insta is Diana.MainAlley, and it's Maine, like M-A-N-E, not like Main Street, like Maine, like your hair. So,
Yes.
and if you have any questions, look at all of her beautiful photos.
And
you
fill
will
out an
see,
application.
do all the things. Yeah, you'll see how gorgeous these extensions are. So,
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate you all having me on here.
Thank you. We will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.